Hello everyone, welcome back to another video after like 6 months. And today I'm just going to sort of explain to you where I've been and sort of what the future is. And we're probably just going to map out probably like a Russia-Ukraine war. Russia takes over Eastern Europe, sort of something like that. So yeah, we'll get into it. So I think I think the last time I was doing mapping was probably around October time. And I sort of just lost interest for a bit. I mean, I weren't growing all that much. And, I mean, winter isn't usually my favourite time to do mapping. Now, it's obviously coming up to summer now. And I'm getting ready to grind for 200 subs. Obviously, we hit 100 subs. And I wasn't really in the right sort of mood to do mapping, so I decided to sort of take a break. I'd still stream here and there, like you've seen, like FIFA streams, but I don't really want to do them anymore. And yes, so I think for the future of this channel, I'm probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to start uploading a lot more. I'm going to launch big projects that will grow my player base. I mean, the Discord server's just reopened. I'm trying to get people in for that. I want to do, like, I'm going to make a TikTok account for, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. But, yeah, I think that'd be quite cool. So, if we get into this scenario, sorry, I just need to, I haven't done this in ages. Just need to set up this. Right, I've actually remembered it. So, I think currently, right now, I kind of don't want a couple of countries to be involved. I don't want them involved, them. They can get involved. Don't want them to get involved, though. Not any of them. Just not them either. So all the Baltics and all that. So, I think the Russian war with Ukraine, I haven't really seen a lot about it going on. I mean, I don't know what is going on. I think currently the front line is the same as it was ages ago. Oh my word. Just need to recolour these. I need to do the sea, don't I? Got about how much work it takes to like do all these mapping videos. Okay, so I think currently the front line is something like this. Shoo! Oh, Jesus. I think the front line's currently something like this. I think it's that. But I think Ukraine have counter-attacked down there, so I think it looks something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really looked at it in ages. But that's what I think it looks like. So, where can I see this going? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's just going to end in a stalemate. Because, I mean, Ukraine seem like, at the moment, they're as strong as Russia, which is weird. And Russia don't seem to be trying all that much. But yeah, but I would say, in this scenario, we're going to try and map it out so it sort of ends in, it's like a big fight, Ukraine are really resisting, but it does end in a Russian victory. So I think the first thing Russia would do is they'd launch a nice big summer counter-attack into the north of Ukraine when they're least expecting it. But they do not manage to get very close to Kiev. Longest time, Belarus officially joined the war to hopefully take some land from Ukraine to basically stop themselves from being so poor. So they pushed down into parts of east of Ukraine. But Ukraine are really holding a grudge in this southern line. So much so that they begin to push the Russians back and are now threatening keep Crimea. I haven't done mapping in so long, forgetting names. They're also beginning to push towards Shakhtar Donetsk. SF also beginning to push towards Donetsk, and they do manage to cut off the two front lines. Now Russia in a bit of a state. They're losing a lot of their southern front line, but then also attacking in the north. So they try and make a plan with Belarus to meet up and to launch a massive assault on Kiev. And this goes okay. They don't manage to get too close to Kiev, but they do manage to link up. And it settles for a winter stalemate. After this summer counterattack, Ukraine announced that they are now conscripting people to join the army. That's not good. So much so that they begin to attack the Russians further in the south, now fully threatening Kiev from all sides. That's not Kiev, oh my word. Crimea from all sides, there you go. Russia want to launch a counter-attack towards Kharkiv and take the city, which does go successful. And Kiev and Kharkiv falls. Now they're threatening Kiev, but Ukraine is still attacking in the south. Ukraine attacked so much in the south that they pushed the Russians all the way back to the Crimean border, and it settles for another stalemate. Then, come around April 2024 time, they begin to attack and retake a lot of land taken by the Belarusian forces. They nearly cut them off, but just from a sliver, the Belarusian forces managed to hold out and also attack parts around Kharkiv. They keep attacking up in the north, trying to fend off the Russians. But I mean, the Russians are now storming down back into Donetsk and Luhansk. So much so that then they began a massive counter-attack near Crimea to push back up, and now they've re-established their front line, but with even more. They now begin to attack major cities, and Russia's sort of crumbling on them. But Ukraine can't be everywhere at once, even though they are being quite successful towards the east, fending off the eastern Ukraine. Now, what does happen is NATO forms a pact with Ukraine that is all the sort of nations under threat from Russia, and they all form a pact to help out Ukraine in the desperate times of war. This goes quite well for Ukraine as they're now getting lots of resources, which does help them to push back the Russians near Crimea. Ukraine's target is to push down and take the Crimean area. It is also their target to push up and retake Kharkiv, take a lot of the north back to defend Kiev, and to re-establish a border front line along the Belarusian border to protect Kiev. And this is what they're trying to put into action, trying to fend off the Russians. So they use a lot of their forces and push down into Crimea and start to threaten the city of Sevastopol. They move around, but Sevastopol does hold off and they dig in for a siege. Meanwhile, the Russians are taking heavy losses in Donetsk and Luhansk as they reconnect the Donetsk and Luhansk area. Now Donetsk and Luhansk are officially part of Russia. They're basically attacking the Russian mainland, which does cause Russia to declare full-on war on Ukraine, which basically means they start to send their troops down to Ukraine to hopefully take all the country. Belarus do try and threaten Kiev again, but with a small amount of forces, they're not able to do so very much, and it settles for another stalemate. Now they begin to attack Kharkiv again, this time pushing down with a different strategy and beginning to surround the city from the outside. They surround the city from Luhansk, while Luhansk is under danger from Ukrainian forces, and they're now just basically trying to take as much time as they can. The Russians continue to push past until eventually the Russians completely surround Kharkiv and retake all the Donetsk region, and Kharkiv finally surrenders. After this, Ukraine seems it's like sort of one of their final stances of victory, taking all of Crimea, which is a direct attack on Russia, and basically stopping all the threats on Kiev. So now Russia haven't really, they've made progress. They've lost all their south and most of their north, but they're now focusing on the north a lot more. So Belarus began to push back down into the eastern areas of Ukraine, threatening, I think it's some sort of Lviv or something over here. So much so that they're completely threatening Lviv, and now they're basically trying to surround Kiev, and it's working with the Russian forces. The Russian forces continue to move down near Kiev, and the city is getting ready to be evacuated. They're now pushing down and make a landing on Crimea, which does wipe Crimea out very easily. And this has sort of left Ukrainian forces all over the place, very unscattered. I mean, they've got no massive city to fall back to. They're lost Mariupol. They're defending for their life to defend Kiev. They're evacuating people due to bombings and missile shots. But it just doesn't seem to be working. The Russians seem too strong for them now. And eventually, Kiev slowly does start to fall. They continue their surrounding mission around Kiev and are pushing up now from the south into, I think this is called Obese or something. I don't know what this city's called down there. Anyway, they continue to push up from the south, and Moldova does declare neutrality, as they don't want to get involved in the Russian war. They continue to push up, and now they are threatening Ukraine's supply line. Now, Ukraine are holding off very well. They've got a really weirdly front line. I mean, they're completely surrounded by Russian forces, but they're holding off to Kiev quite well. Now, the Ukrainian plan of action here is that the dude, what's his name? I forgot his name. The Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is trying to fight and drawing up his plan for a massive summer counterattack. He basically wants to attack through the middle of the heart of Ukraine to probably force the Russian forces out. He wants to attack up north to protect Kiev, and he also wants to attack up to protect Lviv. Now, that is their massive summer counterattack. It's not that big, really. Russia could call in, and Russia are not going in to cut their supply line off. They are just settling across the border like this, and yeah. So Ukraine does try and put this into action, moving up towards the north and reconnecting with the Belarusian border, and they do move down and through the heartland of Ukraine a bit. This doesn't really help a lot, though, as the Russians are like 10 times stronger than them now, and they just push them back down. Now they're completely fighting for their lives, with no counterattack forces left, and the Russians are beginning to surround them in. The Russians move down to Lviv, and all the way around until Kiev finally falls. Once Kiev has fallen, they're all being evacuated into Poland, Moldova, Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, and all these other places, while Russia are strongly pushing through Ukraine and managed to surround the last Ukrainian forces. With this, there's not a lot of Ukrainian forces left to defend Lviv, and they begin one of the bloodiest battles of the war. This involves 200,000 deaths on both sides, but does result in a Russian victory, taking the city, and the whole of Ukraine falls. Zelensky flees the country, and Russia do send out assassins to try and kill him, but it's reported that he does flee to Paris. Now this is over, we're going to actually draw up a peace treaty for what could happen. I mean, damn, this was a lot of work. Okay, so I think Russia won't want to take all of Ukraine. I think they don't only take the bit that they need. I'm not going to worry about the border yet, actually. So Russia probably would want to take something like that. I think they would take all of the southern area of Ukraine and leave this bit out. Now, I think if I were to make Moldova join the new Ukraine, that would look strange. It looks like an very odd border. We can go with it. So we now sort of have this would be called the Russian Federation. They're fully back. They've gained quite a lot of land, and would also have their puppet-like place. It's the Eastern Ukrainian Federation. With this does kind of scare people, and Russia really want more land, and they're quite greedy, if you ask me. So what do they do? Well, they annex Belarus. Belarus joins Russia, so they've got no point in being an independent country. And now the Russian Federation's even bigger. If they had the whole of Ukraine, which I couldn't really see them doing, because, I mean, the whole of Ukraine is a lot, and they captured all of it, yeah, but there are going to be some rebellions that are going to sort of stop them from capturing Ukraine. I mean, it's still their puppet, but they can't really take full control, otherwise it will probably turn into chaos. There are lots of like terror attacks that happen around the areas of Kiev, areas such as Mariupol, Donetsk. Lots of attacks all up the southern border of Ukraine into Russia. And there's also attacks down the rebellions down there. You get a lot of attacks around Belarus, and you also get attacks there. So yeah, I think that's how we're going to end this video today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed my first video back doing mapping. I have really enjoyed it. This will be one of many to release. I'm going to start upping it as well. My Discord server will be linked in the description below. TikTok account will be made pretty soon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe, hit a like, and leave me a comment of what you'd like me to do next. See you later, guys.